Hello, it's Shelley F Knight, bringing you Positive Changes, a Self-Kick podcast. So today on the show, we've got Martin Hewlett, and he's a hypnotherapist, paramedic, 7th degree master in Tae Kwon Do, a powerlifter, and also founder of his own podcast, Calming Anxiety. So welcome to Martin.
Thank you very much, Shelley. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
You're most welcome. So please do share with us, what is your one inspiring story of positive change?
Oh, how long have you got? I think for me, my life changed about 5 years ago after a very major mental breakdown, after childhood trauma, PTSD. And I had the most amazing help from the Ambulance Service Trust. And then I was put in touch with a woman who does a system called rewind therapy, which they've developed for the military for PTSD. And I remember walking out from my first session and suddenly stopping in the car park and realizing that the almost vitriol of abuse and Tourette's of my own dialogue in my head had just vanished.
Wow.
And that changed my entire life, obviously, and set me on this path of wanting to give that back. One of those moments.
So you said the ambulance staff were just amazing.
Yeah.
Did this lead to you being a paramedic, or were you one anyway?
No, I've been a paramedic for almost 20 years. And I love it. It absolutely defines me. I every day, I'm one of the unique ones that loves putting the uniform on and turning up for work. I cannot see a negative about my job at all. But it was my line managers and the ethos of senior management, which a lot of people never see, and their care and compassion to make me better and get me back to work. Amazing. Saved my life and my career.
That's really wonderful, because my background's nursing, and we don't have that. Well, I certainly haven't had that. And I remember the day that my beautiful stepfather died. I was on duty on the ward at the time when I got the call, and obviously was allowed to go home and that. But then later that night, I thought they'd call in to ask how I was, and they was asking, when are you coming back to work? So, I didn't really have that care.
How long ago was that?
That was 2005.
Right. I'd say the ambulance service was like that at those times, but over the last definitely 5 years, slightly more, they've changed. So much so that 2.5 years ago, I took a phone call whilst I was on a job, and it was my brother who was critically ill. I was allowed to leave the job, go to my mum's, and by the time I got there, my brother had passed away. I phoned work, and that was it. They said, right, go home, 2 weeks, sort yourself out.
Oh, wow.
Southwest Ambulance, I could not fault them. I know people do, but I can't. They are so compassionate and caring for their staff, and it's wonderful to see.
That's amazing. So you've had obviously a lot going on. You had this childhood trauma. And this amazing ambulance person. I always think that people step into our path when we need them most. And then you discovered this rewind therapy.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
It puts your fractured past in perspective. It puts the pieces in the right order. So lots of people who may have suffered from childhood trauma, when they're emotionally stressed later on in life, they react as that child. And I'd always seen it happen. So under stress, especially emotional stress, I would react like a 4-year-old. And then the next day, I would completely have forgotten that incident, which was another side product of what's called dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
You have emotional amnesia. The rewind therapy I ended up having 6 more because I liked it so much. It just makes you replay in a very safe way in your mind these past events, and you watch them forward, then you rewind them as if you're watching on a movie. And that's a very simplified way of talking about it, but it works. And that then set me on my new path. I decided I need to learn this. So I went off and qualified as a clinical hypnotherapist.
I was going to ask, is that where it came out? Because my background's nursing, but then I left that and did clinical hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
And then I went into regression therapy. And as you was talking about rewind therapy, I thought, hang on, this sounds very much like what we call parts therapy, where you're bringing the parts back together. Is it like that?
It's very similar.
Right.
It's you know, obviously as therapists, we do parts, and it's so powerful. Although it took me a year to get my head around it, thinking, really? Because I like to have a heavy dose of cynicism about everything, so I question what I do. But yes, it is like parts. It's like regression. And then it's putting coping to mastery and regression together, but in a very specific way. And I use that all the time on practically every client I see.
I love that.
And it just, you see it. You know, we can't talk about specifics, but when you see a client come back round after you've given them their therapy and you see the real them emerge, it's just life-changing, isn't it? It's why we do what we do.
I think they get like, there's a light that comes back to their eyes.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it's the confidence, but it depends what you're working on, what they've dissociated from in life.
Yes.
Or what blocks there are. But I do think sometimes they just seem a little bit taller, the eyes seem lighter, and it's just like they can take on the world. And I love that.
Yeah. I wish there was more of it. Well, I don't, then we wouldn't make quite a living out of it. But I'm hoping to now do this for Southwest Ambulance. That's my goal, so that I can go back into the staying well service and give back there.
Yeah, and I think we're becoming more open to that. I mean, there's a big thing now coming in is about the social prescribing, where it's not so much about the medication, it's like the other therapies, the alternate therapies, the socializing, the communication, the connection. So I certainly think it's a great time to try it.
Oh, it's nice to see a lot of the local GPs are getting on board with it. In fact, it was my own GP who wanted to give me his book on clinical and dental hypnotherapy. And even one really great example, we have a A&E consultant at my local hospital, and he will reduce a shoulder dislocation with hypnotherapy.
Oh, wow.
And watching that happen is mind-blowing. It impresses everyone.
See, I love that.
Yeah. I love doing it for pain. When I have a close friend, he's ex-military, he's 61. He pushes me to all these new challenges. But many years ago, in his younger years in the army, he was shot in the lower leg, and he's always got pain there. You know, it happens when you shatter your tib and fib. And he's had this pain in his leg all the time. And I did this 5-minute, very quick technique. I don't want to name it. And he's absolutely blown away. He was walking around, he was stamping his leg, and he goes, "Well, blow me, the pain's gone." So it's just, you know, we should teach this at schools. We should teach mindfulness and meditation.
Yeah, rather than all sort of like, you know, the status and the business, you know, it is sort of like your resilience.
Yes.
Getting those tools in your, you know, your toolkit for life and things like that.
Yeah. It would, I mean, I'm really blessed. I'm living my life again. I have a 6 and 8-year-old step kids, and to do mindfulness with them, it's just wonderful. I get to nurture these 2 little cherubs at times. Although on this lockdown, that mindfulness is coming in handy.
Yes, for yourself.
Yeah, for myself. Yes. Bless them.
So what's your drive? I mean, obviously you've been through things and you've seen what tools work and you come through it. So what drives you every single day?
The fact that I'm now, after 50 years, of being shackled to a past that I didn't ask for. I'm now free. So every morning is a real blessing. I mean, not to offend anyone, if I was into religion, I would be one of those real born again Christian types.
Yeah.
But I've seen the light, and that's why I like going out to mental health patients and saying, look, I was there. I'm proof that you can change. And I really am driven by trying to help as many people as possible now. It's my core driver and value.
That's brilliant. And I think, obviously I did nursing and I did it as a mature student as well. So I'd had a few life lessons, but lots happened after that. And I think you just get better sometimes because you learn so much from a textbook, and you've got a passion that takes you really far. But it is like, when people die in your own family, or you have your own types of losses that might not be a death as such, it just puts you in a different place, doesn't it, to help others?
Yeah, it does. I think when you've been low and then you come back out, you just realize what a gift your life is, that some of these problems aren't really that big and you shouldn't focus on them. And you should focus on those small miracles that are around us every day and take comfort from that.
Yeah.
That's what I try to pass on.
No, that's really valid. So what does make you happy each and every day? What kind of things? Chocolate. I thought it was going to be something really profound, like Mother Nature. Chocolate, Shelley, mostly.
Chocolate. Yeah, just chocolate. No. One thing that gets everyone that surrounds me, clouds. I love clouds. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's, every day it's different. There's so much beauty in the different colours. And maybe it's because I've got a psychedelic colour blindness that I just see so much. And I will not spend a moment trying to be negative in my life. It's such a wasted emotion. We're not perfect. Me and mini roundabouts, and people don't know how to indicate. We all have our faults. But if I stop and look at a cloud and think, wow, that's a beautiful shape, the colours, the hues, it just gets me, everything. And I was never like this before. But the real me's been set free, and I refuse to go back there. I just love it.
Yeah.
I'm too positive.
I think it's just fabulous. I think, try and encourage our children to find, the extraordinary in the ordinary. And we do cloud watching. We do make the daisy chains and go for the walks. And it's just, we've been telling stories rather than just reading stories. We've been doing it. So one person starts it and then someone else does the next bit. And it's hilarious and the most far-fetched thing.
Oh,
and even today, we're still missing a green chicken that the pirates stole last Tuesday,
and fantastic.
But it is just finding the extraordinary, or making your life feel extraordinary from the joy. You can look at the clouds because you have vision, you're breathing, you're alive, you're outdoors, and it's my background, as I said, was nursing. I worked with the dying, not because I was a crap nurse, Martin. Do you know what I mean? They were dying. That was the line of work I did. And you just learn from them. Like, it's never the big things. No one ever said, oh, Shelley, could you get me Mercedes Benz? Could you get me that designer watch? It's always like, can you get my dog? That person upset in 1973. Tell them so, so-and-so I love them.
Yes.
And it is about that, when you do their final wishes, it's like, can you wheel me outside so I can, watch the clouds, feel the breeze? And, they are the major things, really, when you look back.
They are. When in your line of work and mine, when you've seen people at the end of their life, it makes you appreciate just how lucky we are, to live in this country at this time of history. Regardless of the pandemic, we are so lucky to have this healthcare system, a roof over our heads, social welfare. Many years ago, I worked in North Africa for a short while, and I think that was pivotal as well. I saw real neglect and poverty on a scale that people in this country could never imagine. In fact, on my last day, I just gave all my profits to one family because I just couldn't bear coming home knowing that they were out there living in a sewer and I was in the UK with everything.
Yeah.
We live like millionaires over here compared to everywhere else on the planet.
We do, and I think we lose sight of that as well. Like, we'd be here wishing for a bigger car, better job, but what we're living now is probably what we wished for in the past. And at some
Yeah.
point, you've got to be satisfied with what you've got.
Yes. I mean, my newest car is 17 years old, and the other one's 30. But, yeah. but she is lovely. She's my pet project.
But it just does the job, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And then I love working on the old car with my little 8-year-old stepson, Henry. It's great to pass on knowledge. This is our home learning, teaching him and Emily mechanics, and then where they like to be tickled the most.
Yeah, it's all about balance, I tell you.
It is balance. You see, I don't tell them off. If they've been naughty, it's 10 seconds of tickling, and that kind of gets it out of them. It certainly stops the tantrums in the little Emily.
Well, this morning here in the Knight household, our youngest son wouldn't brush his teeth. And my husband was like, that's fine, but could you sing a song about it? Otherwise, you're going to have to. He stood there, and the creative process was blocked. And it was just like, go on, sing why you don't want to sing your teeth. Well, you don't want to sing your teeth, seriously. They need dental work. He said, sing why you don't want to brush your teeth. And he just started laughing and he just did his teeth.
Yeah, that's it. It's our job, I think, as parents to lighten their load. They don't know how to react. And I always think if I can put them to bed smiling and giggling, that's a job well done for the day.
Yeah, it is that. I always say, because, with ourselves, we always give ourselves quite a firm talking to. But with my children, I always try and listen to the little things. Because I think, well, if I don't listen to the little things when they're little, they won't tell me the big things when they're big. Yeah. So I do teach them and treat them very differently than I treat myself. Because like myself, I'm like, come on, woman, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. Where with them, I like, there's no hurry, take your time.
I encourage them to debate and question what we say. I did that with my 2 boys many years back. I always remember my eldest son, when he was 5, he came back with a counter argument. He said, well, Daddy, how about we do it this way? And I stopped and I thought, actually, he's right. I've been beaten by a 5-year-old. And now they're fully grown and their sarcasm is on point. I couldn't be prouder.
See, our eldest son, he's got autism, and I think everyone we meet, they teach us something we don't know, but he just sees the world in a brilliant way. It's very good time management. He just says it as it is. There's no beating around the bush, no walking on eggshells. He's like, well, actually, you're wrong because. And it's just brilliant because there's no, well, actually, everything's black and white. There is no grey. And he just tells it. And every day is a school day.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he's brilliant. 13.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, going on 40.
Yes, yeah.
So aside from children, how else do you get through your day? Is there a tool or technique that you use?
Well, now, your listeners won't like it. It's I've recently discovered cold showers, ice cold showers. Yeah, and I got into that from listening to Chris Evans, and there's a lot of science behind it. And it's something you do get used to, and then you crave, and it really starts the day off. Then there's the jog, march, almost crawl home. I've got to stay fit, and that's it. And then meditation and writing podcasts like yourself. It's just, I don't know. I spend it thinking about how I can improve what I'm doing, and what can I give to other people. That is the core moment.
So I'm still trying to process the cold showers, but I can't think what it's called. It's something like called Boreas or something, and it's ice baths, and it's to do with your mindset.
Yeah, I mean, ice baths. I watched Eddie Izzard do those when he did all of those marathons.
Yeah.
But the basic science is all the blood goes from your peripherals into your core and your brain. And it just really fires off the body for the start of the day. And you get out and it's like you're just sparkling all over. You are so focused. It's so ice cold showers. I get in them warm. I'm not some sort of masochist. And then I gently turn it down. And I thought I was doing really well for the first couple of weeks until I realized I got one of those electric eco showers. And then I turned it on the economy setting. And that's when the ice cold bit came through and told me I wasn't quite as brave as I thought I was. That was really cold.
So do you have to have a cold shower for a certain length of time, or can you just do like, nanosecond, because it's a gesture of cold shower?
You just put your head under it first for like 10 seconds, and then it's about controlling your breathing. And breathing's the important bit, because when you do meditation, it's all about breathing. And when you go under that cold shower, it's like jumping into a cold swimming pool. You get that rush where you can't breathe, and it's that base mammalian reflex. And when you can control that, then you can stay under it, and you just feel so focused and so positive for the rest of the day. I mean, the science is there, and there are plenty of books out there, and genuine gurus who know all about the benefits of it. I'm a big advocate of it now. I wasn't before, trust me. And until you've done it for a week, you'll think, no, this is madness.
Yeah.
And then the other benefit is when you forget to turn it back up, you're helping your other half.
I can see where that was going. Yeah, thinking, actually, hold on a minute.
Yeah. And you know that, and the whole family know that as well, because you hear the shrieks.
So it's kind of reconnecting the family as a whole, which is beautiful, isn't it?
It is beautiful, yes, from my perspective.
I still prefer the first tip of chocolate, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, so do I.
So you've gone through so many positive changes, apart from the cold shower, I'll be honest. Can you tell people why you think it is so important to have that leap of faith to make a positive change?
I knew I wasn't right. I know I've always struggled socially. I mean, everyone at work and in my social life knew that if someone was going to say something inappropriate or just without any filter, it would be me. And that would always upset me, and I couldn't stop it, and I wouldn't know why. And it's almost like Tourette's. And so I was reaching out and pleading for help, but I didn't know how. And luckily it was my area manager. She took me off the road one day and said, I think you're having a breakdown. And I thought, right, this is my one chance. I thought I was going mad. And that is the difference, because I have an old friend who with a similar upbringing, and he's had the same therapy, but he's always refused to admit he was wrong. So he's never changed. And we still, everyone sees it, he's still tied by these reactions to the anchors in his past. And I always say to everyone, if you want to change, you have to accept that you are the problem. You've got to engage, and you've got to be brutally honest with yourself to change. And I think that's the hardest part. And I've seen people in far worse cases do it. On one of my previous podcasts, I was talking about a woman I knew who had been a heroin and alcohol addict. And then I met her many years later on another job, and she was a carer for a family member. And I said, I'm sure I recognize you. And she said, no, I used to be this. And now, as we both know, being a heroin addict and alcoholic is one of the worst places you can be. And she just said, I woke up one morning and said, enough. And she took ownership of her addiction and just stopped. I mean, I want to meet her again. I want to hold her up for everyone else to see. This woman was at the bottom of society and then just decided no. And she changed it. And now she looks after other people.
That's amazing.
I still get emotional. I know I was tearful on that job. And I tell all my colleagues, and that I think that changed me as well, because, I still go to alcoholics and drug users and I say, look, you can make a change, right? I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm addicted to chocolate. Put my hands up. I don't like to be. Everyone laughs about it, but it's not healthy for me. So if they can stop it, I should stop it. But this woman, she was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I've gone quiet, and that's a rare
Yeah,
thing, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. But no, because my mum, she's a counsellor, she's just old now, Martin, but she was a counsellor. And she would say that she used to work with like family therapy and that, and people, something would happen, like abuse in the family or something. If you had two brothers, one would just go like, well, I'm a drug addict because my father did this. And the other one be an entrepreneur and goes, why, I'm successful because my father did this. And it's how you have that calling, isn't it? When you have that, you're searching for something in life, and it could be a positive or negative, then that's the path you go down. But to have that absolute clarity, just wake up one morning, just go like, no, enough is enough. I'm going to step out of my own way, forgive myself, and give it a good go. It's just amazing, isn't it?
Well, I think I took that route when I finally left home. I thought, I'm not going to let my past dictate me. Now, I consciously tried not to, but obviously it didn't always work. Whereas I had an older brother, and he let it define him. And I believe he was bitter throughout his entire life. He never let it go. Whereas I just thought, okay, my early life hasn't been brilliant, but it doesn't have to mean it's got to affect or impact the rest of my life.
Yeah. And that's a great example. It's exactly like what my mum used to see in her cases, that some people would use it, as a block, and other people would build the blocks up and use them as stepping stones almost. And that's true. Yeah. Because my background was chemotherapy nursing, and then I went working with the dying in my nursing days. And I used to see so many people when you're sitting there on a one-to-one with chemotherapy. It's a captive audience because you can't move away because I've got toxic medicines. You have to sit there and listen to me. But people would start talking, and sometimes they're talking for the first time in years. And the amount of times, and I spoke about this in episode 6 of the solo shows called Speak Your Truth, the amount of times I would be nursing people, especially women, where they had repressed emotions from their childhood or repressed emotions from a bad relationship. And they'd say things with this breast cancer saying like, I'm glad I finally got that off my chest. And I think, when you don't let the emotions come up, and it does create dis-ease. I know that's really out there, but my episode was called Speak Your Truth, and it's my podcast, so I didn't really care. But I think there is, when we don't allow ourselves to be, if we don't forgive others, we're not forgiving ourselves. I just think it impacts on our health so much.
Totally. I'm with you there, and so are most of my friends who do mindfulness and meditation.
Really?
Yes, it just improves your whole well-being and your soul if you give and if you're kind. I don't see many people who live a very long life who are bitter and resentful. You never see, when I go out to patients who are in their 90s, they're always so genuinely nice, caring, and appreciative. I very rarely meet someone that old who's just horrible.
That's really interesting.
And I think there's a study there. I'm just going to write that down.
I'm just going to write, Shelley, do a master's, PhD.
Yeah.
Note
you
to
can
self.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed with your first class degree, by the way. Work
makes me blush.
Work have been, because obviously paramedics have now gone that route with degrees, but I'm one of the old dinosaurs. And every year, my area trainer, who is just a god of paramedics, he says, right, you're going to start doing a module. I said, why? Is it really going to help? I said, I'm writing a book. Isn't that good enough? But it's not. But me and academia, no, that's a no-no. I claim ADHD on that one.
Is that diagnosed or you're just claiming it?
No, it's late onset ADHD. I've made that one up.
Is it? There's not much research behind that.
No, it's just the fact that I can't hold my attention for more than 15 minutes. Oh, shiny. What's that?
Oh, yeah. Biscuit. Squirrel.
Yeah, biscuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. And I also came up with social Tourette's, which is now on my personnel file at work.
Once again, no scientific backing on that?
None, apart from the fact I only ever swear in company in front of patients.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a nerves thing.
No, that's not
No.
it. I am very confident at what I do.
Is it?
Yeah. I remember I had a day one newly qualified paramedic out with me and a young 20-year-old emergency care assistant. And we'd gone to a cardiac job, which I was going to disprove as being cardiac. And everything looked like it was just muscular pain in the chest. She'd had it for months. And the ECG came up on the screen, and it was what we call a barn door MI, massive heart attack was on this screen. And I just came out with, holy essing as hell. and everyone, the entire family looked at me and I went, yeah, sorry about that. I think you're having a heart attack, love.
Along with yourself, by the sounds of it, Martin.
No. I was just like, well, that one's one for the books, because she didn't look like it. The history wasn't there. But then it's beautiful to be part of the NHS when we live in North Devon. So from the moment she phoned to the moment she's down in South Devon via the air ambulance and having coronary surgery was under an hour. That's how
wow.
Good. Yeah. And Devon's one of the most rural counties with the most dispersed hospitals. And we have 2 air ambulances. And for that to happen, I don't normally feel pride in what I do, but that day you just thought, yeah, that was a good job. We all did well there.
And does it have a happy ending? I do love a happy ending.
Oh, yeah, back 3 days later.
She was back home. You were back at her house.
Back home. No.
I thought I had to go back 3 days later. It happened again.
No, I did have one of my most amazing moments. Not that we eat McDonald's a lot whilst on duty, but this
what's wrong with you?
I know. Well, they're closed. This elderly chap came up to me once in McDonald's, sadly after I just paid, and he tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, "My wife just said you're the man that saved my life last week." And I don't normally get embarrassed or flustered, but I don't like public displays of thanks. I just like what I do. And I went, oh, that's kind. And I remember, it was a very interesting job. And we got there just in the nick of time. He died. We got him back. Great story, air ambulance, heart surgery. And he said, and my wife's just told me, you saved my life 3 years ago in the doctor's surgery. And I was like, wow, what are the chances of that? And I said, well, 3rd time lucky, mate. Don't do it again. And I thought, I just said that out loud. Damn.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I
Social
remember
Tourette's.
Well, yeah. I remember when I was a student nurse and I got a job in you have these placements, don't you? And it was in trauma and orthopedics, and somebody had an amputation of their leg, but just on one side, and was doing like the rehabilitation. And I said, don't you worry, we'll have it back on your own 2 feet in no time. And I was like, oh, sweet baby Jesus, do you mean you've got one job? And I was like, yeah, back on your feet in no time. And then you've got phantom pain. It's not funny, is it? Not funny.
No, it's not. And we all do it. But do you do hypnotherapy for phantom pain?
No, see, I'm a bit kooky. So I only did clinical hypnotherapy to go into past life regression. You had to have hypnotherapy to go back in time.
Okay. All right.
So no, I just joke about it.
I will actively, even when I'm out shopping, if I see someone with an amputated limb, I will happily go up to them and say, excuse me, don't wish to be rude. Do you still suffer from phantom limb pain? If they say yes, I'll ask them if they want me to get rid of it. And I'll just do it there and then. Yeah. It's one of the most easy techniques going. And it's just to watch them set themselves free, because that pain is absolutely all in their mind, isn't it? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So we can get rid of it.
Oh, wow. No, I'm not as kind as you, Martin. No, I just do past life regression.
Okay.
So bless you, you've been working on your book.
Yes.
Because you don't want to do a master's or a degree.
No.
So you're working on a book. How's that coming along?
If it hadn't been for homeschooling and being easily distracted by little children, it would have been finished this week, but I'm hoping within the next week at the longest. It's only an ebook, but it's to go with a guided audio session, and it's to teach people meditation, mindfulness, and then help them cope with the general things of anxiety, depression, and insomnia.
And how can people get hold of this? I know you've got to finish it, but
there's a sign-up form on my website, which, if I can, is www.martinhewlett.co.uk, and it's on the podcast page.
Your podcast?
Podcast? Oh, well, that's called Calming Anxiety. And they're on all of the places, Spotify, iTunes.
Well, Martin, we could speak all day. Yeah. We really could. But I just want to thank you so much for sharing your positive change, all your tips. And we know we can find you on your Calming Anxiety podcast. You've got your website, Twitter, and the book is coming out any day now.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Bless you. And thank you for being part of our show.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure you subscribe and leave a positive review. If you would like to create your own positive changes, you can buy Positive Changes, a self-kick book from all online book retailers or from ShelleyFnight.com. If you need a dollop of positivity until the next episode, come like and follow us over on Facebook at Shelley F. Knight, Life Goes On. As always, I've been Shelley F. Knight and you've been amazing.